Hello again, welcome back to the workshop. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is a tooltip. I think this is definitely in the tricks category rather than tooltip or tools per se. I'm a great believer in refurbishing. I'm a great believer in restoration, but when something is beyond the point that it can be saved, there's always going to be something that's going to be useful. You might have a sewing machine or any kind of tool, basically. A really old hammer, for example. The hammer head will be good, the handle will be rubbish. You'll throw the handle away, you'll reclaim or reuse the hammer head, you'll restore it, you'll put a new handle on, away you go. So I like to try and think of different ways that I can accumulate materials which I can use in my projects. Now, leather is and of itself a very expensive product. It's also a very contentious product. There are people out there that say we shouldn't use leather. My argument is that there's absolutely no problems with using leather if, for example, the animal's already been processed for meat. So you don't want to throw anything away. And the cheapest way, if you're a leather worker, and the easiest and cheapest way to get your hands on large quantities of leather for free is by going onto FreeCycle, keeping an eye on FreeCycle, and when somebody's throwing out a leather sofa, you grab it, and literally you can recycle everything that comes out of this thing. So I often use foam for cushions and projects and padding and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So I have a pile of foam that I don't get rid of. There's metal here that I have a chap come by regularly who will take away all my scrap metal for me. So I just leave it in a pile outside the workshop and he comes and picks that up every time he's driving by. And then obviously there's the leather. So this tooltip video, this tricks video, if you want to call it that, is simply going to be me demonstrating that you can take a piece of a sofa like this, and I've got another piece and a full Chesterfield sofa that I need to break down to clear some space in the workshop, and you just take it apart. All you need really is a Stanley knife to get the leather off, and possibly some spanners and a socket set if you have any metalwork, like in this case, any metalwork to take off. So I'm just going to crack on and literally strip all of the leather off this. Yes, it's sewn, yes, you can see seams, but there's large patches. Once I take this apart, this will be one lovely piece of flat leather, and you'll be able to use it for all sorts of things. You'll be able to use that for wallets, you'll be able to use it for journal covers, all sorts. And it's material that will get used and I'll make into something and will go on for another 100, 150 years with no troubles whatsoever. So I'm just going to crack on. Got a new blade in the knife and I'm off. So this, you can see the padding and the cushion is all really clean. There's absolutely, I know this sofa, I know where this sofa came from, and they said that they'd had this sofa over 20 years. So to see that clean after 20 years, there's no reason to throw that away. That can be put in a bag, and I've got plenty of bags, and it can be stored up in the loft. And the next time I need something like this, in fact, I don't know if you guys remember, I made a bench at the back end of the summer for Mary. Mary's been talking to me about having some cushions made, and this is the perfect material for me to give to her so that she can hand it on to the lady that's going to make her cushions for her. So there's no point in throwing any of this material away. I can see there's a backing on the leather, but I don't need to worry about that for the moment. I just need to make sure that I get all of the padding out, and that means that I'm going to have to put the knife through there, and there, So that comes off, and out comes another big bag of padding, which can go for a cushion. Could make us some nice leather cushions actually. That would go really well with a bench. Okay, so this yellow seating foam looks pretty nasty, and it's actually got all the springs in. I don't know whether they're metal or sometimes they're plastic. No, that's a metal spring, so I can break all that down, take all the metal out, and then the rest of this can be folded up and probably end up going to landfill, unfortunately. But it's better than the whole thing going to landfill, I can tell you. So it's just a case now of keep going. And this is the downside of going through somebody else's sofa to pull the leather off, is you find all the stuff that's fallen down the side of the sofa. Of course, you wouldn't want to go to this amount of effort for something that was fake leather. But if you've can get your hands on old furniture that is real leather, there's no such thing as bad leather per se. Leather, there's such an investment in time in producing good leather. There's such an investment in time in producing leather that it's almost impossible to produce bad leather. And something like this, whilst it's probably, the leather is mass produced, it's still really good quality. So it really is worth your time and effort to hack your way through all of this here and see if you can get the leather off. And again, I'm going to apologise now to any upholsterer who's watching this. I'm not an upholsterer, not even close. I've never done any kind of upholstery whatsoever, which is probably why I don't quite understand how this has gone together, which is why I'm kind of just breaking it up. But I'm sorry, if you're an upholsterer, then I apologise if I'm offending you in any way. I am literally just after the leather to recycle the leather. My grandfather would probably be turning in his grave because he was an upholsterer, as you will learn, and you'll learn more about him at a later date. That's that bit. And so what you end up with when you're finished, I haven't quite finished stripping this down completely. The majority of the metal work is over the back of the workshop again for another day for me to just sit and get the angle grinder out on it or something just to chop it up. But what you end up with is you end up with a pile of the metal bits. Depending on how your piece of furniture has been put together, you end up with the most important thing, which is a lovely pile of leather that you can use for all sorts of projects. There is a wooden component which you can chop up and you can put it through the wood burner, or you can just chuck it on the bonfire. A lovely pile over here of foam that you can use for other projects. So I'm going to stick this in some clear plastic bags. I've got some large clear plastic bags which I can seal up and put up in the loft for future projects. And then we've reduced the entire, we've got some scraps of webbing. I don't throw this stuff away, this elasticated webbing. You never, everybody's a hoarder. They go, oh, I'll find a use for that somewhere. Well, I do tend to keep these in a bag just in case there's something that I need a small piece of webbing for. And then the last bit is literally, this is the scrap bit. So this is just a piece of dirt, the dirty piece of foam that we don't want. So we've reduced something that if we took it to the tip, may go into landfill, it may get broken down. It's very difficult to know what they do at these places nowadays. But this is the stuff that's rubbish. This is the only stuff out of the whole sofa that I would want to throw away. So yeah, the trick is, if you are on FreeCycle or you're on Facebook and you see something really cheap, if somebody puts a sofa up for 50 quid or something and it doesn't sell and they drop the price, you could turn around and say, right, I'll take it away for you for nothing, and then it's out your hair, and you could bring it home, take it into the shed, take it into the garden, and an hour's work and you can break it down and you've got a whole load of materials, and these are things that you can recycle and reuse. So I just thought I'd share that with you because I do this with leather all the time. Leather is so expensive. The amount of leather on here, if I bought this, would probably cost me 100, 150 quid just off that one section of sofa. So think about it, you could get 200 or 300 quid's worth of usable leather off of one 3-seater sofa. And that's it really, nothing else to report. So hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it useful, hope you found it interesting, hope it's given you something to think about, and hope to see you back soon. Cheers.